Hey everyone, welcome. Get comfortable, and let's get into tonight's Reddit stories. Imagine every time you walk into a room with your sibling, people don't just notice them first, they basically forget you exist. And now, imagine that's been your whole life. What does that do to your confidence, your love life, and how you see yourself? Having an attractive sister is a confidence killer. You might be thinking, well, you share the same genes, so you're probably attractive in your own way. No, my sister is drop-dead gorgeous, and I'm just painfully average. I'm not exaggerating when I say she turns heads everywhere we go. It's honestly not unrealistic to picture her ending up with some rich guy. Every time she posts a picture, it gets thousands of likes, and then she usually deletes it because she thinks it's a bad selfie. And yeah, she gets free stuff just because of how she looks. Every time I brought a guy home, his jaw would drop like a goldfish when he saw her. It got to the point where some of them couldn't stop complimenting her, even when it was just the two of us alone together. If it were an attractive friend, I could probably deal with it. But this is my sister, and people naturally compare us. Her beauty has literally kept me single. Maybe when we're older, it'll get better. A lot of people in the comments related to this dynamic, and a few shared their own stories of being the other sibling. One person talked about two sisters they know. One is basically a movie character, about 5'10", supermodel-level beautiful, Harvard law grad. The other sister was shorter, stockier, had acne and glasses. But instead of letting that destroy her, the less conventionally attractive sister focused hard on what she could control. She leaned into her interests, worked on her confidence, and built a life around things that made her feel strong. Now she's into rock climbing and competitive bodybuilding, and she has a good boyfriend who's into her. Their point was, the right partner for you won't be distracted by your sister at all. They encouraged OP to invest in confidence, health, hygiene, a flattering haircut, and clothes that suit their body type. And to stop shrinking into their sister's shadow because they deserve love and happiness too. Another commenter said they grew up with two gorgeous older sisters, and the one they were closest to was especially stunning. Rare, natural auburn hair, beautiful features, just objectively striking. As a kid, they were almost in awe of her, but they also saw the dark side of that beauty. Grown men in their 30s and 40s would follow her home when she was only 11 or 12. She was stalked, aggressively pursued, and constantly treated like an object. People were drawn to her like moths to a flame, but many of them were basically parasites. It deeply affected her. So while there was some jealousy, this commenter said they weren't jealous of the looks themselves. They were more jealous of her artistic eye, her sense of style, her ability to decorate and find amazing things in thrift stores. They wanted OP to see that extreme beauty can be a burden too. Someone else chimed in saying they accepted a long time ago that their sister is the superior sibling in terms of looks. But instead of resenting her, they absolutely adore her and would burn the world for her. Their sister thinks they're beautiful simply because she loves them. And to this commenter, that's what really matters. They also pointed out that their sister's beauty hasn't always made life easy. She's had struggles that weren't obvious from the outside. Now that they're both in their 40s, they joke that they'll probably end up as the weird old spinster sisters living together and terrorizing the neighborhood. And they seem genuinely okay with that future. What do you think about this situation? Does having a really attractive sibling actually change how you see yourself and your dating life? Or is it more about confidence and perspective? If you've been the pretty one or the average one in your family, how did it affect you? Share your thoughts and your own stories in the comments. And if you like these deep dive confessions from Reddit, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stick around for the next story. Imagine thinking you're part of the team for 5 years. And then, with one accidental look at a coworker's phone, realizing there's this whole world at work you were never invited into. What are you even supposed to do when you find out you weren't included? Not loudly, not cruelly, just quietly left out? I found out my coworkers have a group chat without me, and it explained everything. I've been working at the same place for almost 5 years, and I honestly thought people liked me there. I show up on time, I do my job, I help when people ask, and I mostly keep my head down. I'm not loud or dramatic, I'm just consistent. Last week, a newer coworker accidentally showed me something on his phone, and I caught a glimpse of a group chat. It had almost everyone from work in it. There were jokes, plans, memes, people venting about management. And I wasn't in it. At first, I tried to shrug it off, but once I'd seen it, I couldn't unsee it. I started noticing how conversations would suddenly stop when I walked into the room. There were inside jokes I clearly wasn't part of. After-work plans that somehow everyone knew about except me. What really hurt was realizing this wasn't something new. This had been going on for years. The whole time I thought I was part of the team. No one was openly excluding me or saying anything mean to my face. I was just quietly left out. I went home feeling stupid for how much effort I'd put into being a good coworker, thinking it actually mattered. It's messed with my confidence way more than I expected, because I don't know what I did wrong, or if I even did anything wrong at all. I still go to work, I still do my job, but something's shifted. It's hard to care in the same way once you realize you were never really included. You were just tolerated. A lot of people in the comments say they understand exactly why this hurts so much. They point out that, yeah, coworkers don't have to be your friends, but when you spend so much of your life at work, feeling like everyone is against you, or at least not really with you, is a horrible feeling. Some suggest that if this makes the job unbearable, it might be worth looking for something new. But if the job itself is good and the money is solid, they say not to let this hidden group chat ruin your ability to do what you need to do to get by. Others are trying to reassure OP that this kind of thing can happen for reasons that aren't necessarily their fault. One person says it's really easy to fail a vibe check without actually doing anything wrong, and that OP shouldn't beat themselves up over it. And then there are the people who are just straightforwardly on OP's side emotionally. They say this situation sucks. They're sorry OP is going through it, and their advice is to treat these coworkers the way they're treating OP. Keep things professional, do your job, but stop pouring energy into people who clearly aren't including you. What do you think about this? Is a secret group chat like this just normal workplace clickiness, or does it cross a line when it quietly leaves one person out for years? If you were in OP's position, would you confront anyone, look for a new job, or just emotionally check out and treat it as just work? Let me know your thoughts and your own stories in the comments below. Imagine showing up to work, pressing a single button, and having 2 hours of your job done for you. Every single day. Now imagine that button suddenly stops working and you realize you don't actually remember how to do the job yourself. That's exactly what happened to this person today. I automated my daily work tasks with a Python script 6 months ago. It broke today, and I realized I completely forgot how to do my job. I work a pretty standard office job doing data entry and processing invoices. Every morning I'm supposed to grab attachments from certain emails, pull out the data, enter it into our old legacy ERP system, and then generate a daily report. It used to take me about 2 hours of mind-numbing clicking every single morning. About 6 months ago, I'd had enough. I spent a weekend writing a Python script to do all of it for me. It connects to Outlook, parses the PDFs, and uses an API to push the data wherever it needs to go. Ever since then, my routine has basically been get to work, grab a coffee, run the script, browse Reddit for 2 hours, and then send the all-done email. My boss thinks I'm incredibly efficient and consistent. Today, everything fell apart. One of our vendors made a tiny change to their invoice layout. The script crashed with an error I hadn't accounted for. I just stared at the screen and started sweating. I realized I didn't remember how to do the process manually anymore. I didn't even remember the login path for the specific module in the ERP system because the script handles all the tokens. I ended up frantically digging through my old physical notebooks from my first week on the job just to figure out how to process one document. It took me 4 hours to do what the script normally does in 3 minutes. My boss stopped by and asked if everything was okay because I looked so stressed. I told him it was just a complex batch of data today. Right now, I'm at home fixing the parser so I don't have to actually work tomorrow. I feel like a fraud, but a very well-rested one. The top comment suggests leaning into the situation strategically. Now that the process has slowed down, they say the OP should gradually start reporting that the work takes an extra hour or so over the next couple of weeks. That way, they'd build in some wiggle room for future issues without raising suspicion. Another highly upvoted commenter is convinced this whole thing sounds like an AI-generated story. Their argument is that if you wrote the Python script, you already encoded the entire manual process and logic into the code. In their view, all the steps are literally there, line by line, especially if the script is commented. They say the OP should just read their own code to remind themselves how everything works. That same commenter also gives some practical advice. Add an intermediate manual review step. Instead of trusting the automation completely, have the script produce the output, then manually check it before submitting anything. Because, as they point out, someone will always change something at the worst possible time, and fully blind automation is risky. A smaller but blunt comment echoes the skepticism. They say you can just read the code to remember the process, and because the OP supposedly can't or didn't, they think the post is fake. What do you think about this? Is the OP clever for automating a boring job or reckless for letting their skills atrophy? And do you buy the story, or do you side with the commenters who think it sounds fake? Let me know your thoughts, and if you've ever secretly automated your own job in the comments below. 17 years of marriage, 2 kids, 1 house, and for the last 5 years, almost total silence between husband and wife. What happens to a family when the relationship at the center of it slowly dies, but nobody leaves? Fought with wife 5 years ago and haven't really talked with her since. I'm a 43-year-old guy, and I've been married to my wife, who's 46, for 17 years. We've got 2 kids, and I'm only just now realizing that I've never really been happy in our marriage. At the start, it was exciting. There was romance, there was fun, the way I guess most marriages begin. But even back then, I was always made to feel like I was less than her. I just kept brushing it off and trying to keep the peace. First for the sake of the marriage, and then, once we had kids, for their sake. It felt like nothing I did was ever good enough, even though I make 6 figures and can support the whole family without her having to work. About 5 years ago, I hit my breaking point. I was so angry about how I was being treated and how I was made to feel. My wife and I basically stopped talking for 6 months. During that whole time, she never once asked why I was so angry. We fought, but I never felt understood. It's been over 5 years now, and we still don't really talk, except about the kids or the house. I go to work, I'm always there for the kids, but inside, I feel completely empty emotionally. I dread coming home, but seeing my kids is the only reason I stay in this relationship. When I go out and see couples just having normal conversations, I'm insanely jealous. I just want a real human connection, just to be heard and respected. I feel stuck because of the kids and because of my wife's health situation, so I just scroll through threads like this, and it gives me a little bit of comfort knowing I'm not the only one going through something like this. A lot of people focused on the kids. One of the top responses pointed out that children absolutely notice when a parent is unhappy, and they often grow up modeling their own relationships on what they saw at home. That commenter said a good rule of thumb is, Whatever advice you'd give your child if they were in your exact situation, that's the advice you should be willing to follow yourself. Another common theme was therapy. Several people suggested he look into counseling, either individual therapy to work through his feelings and figure out what he really wants, or couples therapy if both of them are actually willing to work on the relationship. And one person brought up a question a lot of people were thinking: why does his wife seem okay with this dynamic too? They wondered what's going on from her side that she can live in a marriage with almost no communication for years and never ask why he was so angry in the first place. What do you think about this situation? Is staying for the kids the right move here? Or does that end up doing more harm than good in the long run? And what would you do if you hadn't really spoken to your spouse in 5 years? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you want more stories like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. Imagine being the person everyone at work relies on, until one day you quietly stop going above and beyond. No blow-up, no drama, just some basic boundaries. And suddenly, you're the problem. So what actually changed? You or them? I stopped being the nice guy at work, and now everyone hates me. I used to be the guy who said yes to everything at my job. Cover shifts, stay late, train new hires, fix other people's mistakes without saying a word. I really thought it would pay off eventually, like my boss would notice, or my coworkers would respect me more. But instead, it just became the norm. It was expected. If something went wrong, I was the one they pulled in to clean it up, even when it wasn't my responsibility. A few months ago, I decided I was done with that. I stopped answering messages on my days off, and I started saying no when tasks weren't mine. Nothing dramatic, just basic boundaries. Almost immediately, the vibe changed. People got colder. The jokes stopped. I heard through the grapevine that I was letting the team down and not the same guy anymore. One coworker straight up told me I was being selfish for not helping like I used to. What really messes with my head is that my workload is finally reasonable and my stress is way lower. But socially, I'm treated like I did something wrong. It's made me realize that being dependable isn't always respected. It's often just exploited. I don't regret the change, but it's unsettling how fast people turn on you when you stop making their lives easier. A lot of people in the comments say this reaction is completely predictable. When you've been overgiving for a long time, coworkers start to see that extra effort as the standard. So when you pull it back, they don't see it as you becoming normal. They see it as you taking something away from them. And losing a benefit stings way more than never having it in the first place. Others frame this as a harsh lesson about corporate life. No one is going to ride in and reward you just because you quietly do more than everyone else. If you decide to go above and beyond, you either need to make sure it's visible or make sure it's part of a give and take where you get something back: favors, support, opportunities, or recognition. If you just keep your head down and handle everything, people get used to it and start treating your sacrifice as the baseline. One commenter puts it bluntly: when coworkers say you're suddenly difficult to work with, what they often mean is, we can't manipulate you anymore. From that perspective, the cold shoulder might be a sign that you've outgrown this workplace and that your energy and effort would be better spent somewhere that doesn't rely on you being endlessly accommodating. What do you think about this shift from team player to selfish the moment boundaries show up? Is this just how most workplaces operate, or is this a sign the OP needs to move on? Let me know your thoughts and your own work stories in the comments below. And if you enjoy these deep dives into True Off My Chest posts, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Imagine raising your brother's little girl as your own for 16 years. And then, on your birthday, she hands you a stack of papers that changes everything. What do you even say in that moment? And what do you do with the guilt and the love that hit you both at the same time? My niece just asked me to adopt her. My older brother and his wife, and their oldest son, died in a car crash 16 years ago. At the time, I was 22, and I was babysitting his 2-year-old daughter. After that happened, I offered to take her, and nobody in either family had a problem with it. After months of going back and forth, I became her legal guardian. Even after I got married and had my own 3 kids, she was still my baby, and I never treated her any differently than my biological children. Last week was my 38th birthday, and she gave me adoption papers. I just looked at her and started crying like a little baby, and she hugged me. She's always known about her parents and that I was just her uncle, but she said I was as much her dad as my late brother was, if not more, and that she loves me and my wife and wants to officially be my daughter. And I accepted, of course. I love her so much, and I just hope my late brother isn't angry with me for legally taking his place. A lot of people in the comments are looking at this from your brother's side, and they're saying, if they were him, they'd be nothing but grateful. To them, the fact that she loves you enough to ask you to adopt her is proof that you did an incredible job raising their baby when they couldn't be there. Others are just openly emotional about it. They're saying this story has them tearing up, insisting they're not crying, you're crying, because the whole situation is so bittersweet and beautiful at the same time. And several commenters are reassuring you directly about that last line. They don't think your brother would ever be angry. In their eyes, he'd be smiling down on you, proud and thankful that his daughter grew up with someone who stepped up, loved her fully, and became the dad she chose. What do you think about this? If you were in the brother's position, how would you feel about your sibling becoming dad on paper too? And if you were the niece, would you want to make it official after all those years? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to hear more stories like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next one.